Chapter 2. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Moab, yes, for 4, I will not reverse it, because he burned the bones of the king of Edom into lime. So will I send a fire upon Moab, and it shall devour the palaces of Kirioth. And Moab shall die with tumult, with shouting, and with the sound of the horn. And I will cut off the judge from the midst thereof, and will slay all the princes thereof with him, saith the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Judah, yes, for 4, I will not reverse it, because they have rejected the law of the Lord, and have not kept his statutes, and their lies have caused them to err, after which their fathers did walk. So will I send a fire upon Judah, and it shall devour the palaces of Jerusalem. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Israel, yes, for 4, I will not reverse it, because they sell the righteous for silver, and the needy for a pair of shoes, that pant after the dust of the earth on the head of the poor, and turn aside the way of the humble, and a man and his father go into the same maid, to profane my holy name. And they lay themselves down beside every altar upon clothes taken in pledge, and in the house of their God they drank the wine of them that have been fined. Yet destroyed I the Amorite before them, whose height was like the height of the cedars, and he was strong as the oaks. Yet I destroyed his fruit from above, and his roots from beneath. Also I brought you up out of the land of Egypt, and led you 40 years in the wilderness, to possess the land of the Amorites. And I raised up your sons for prophets, and your young men for Nazarites. Is it not even thus, O you children of Israel, saith the Lord? But you gave the Nazarites wine to drink, and commanded the prophets, saying, Prophesy not. Behold, I will make it creak under you, as a cart creaketh that is full of sheaves. And flight shall fail the swift, and the strong shall not exert his strength, neither shall the mighty deliver himself. Neither shall he stand that handleth the bow, and he that is swift of foot shall not deliver himself. Neither shall he that rideth the horse deliver himself. And he that is courageous among the mighty shall flee away naked in that day, saith the Lord. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. We are continuing in these judgments now of God that he has sent through Amos. Amos means this burden that has to be carried, or this is that which you have to take with you. And we'll see now that we're beginning with Moab, or continuing with Moab. Verse 1, Thus saith the Lord, for the 3 transgressions of Moab, yes, for 4, I will not reverse it, because he burned the bones of the king of Edom into lime. And Moab means those that are like their father, or like father. And for these transgressions now, for this complete of the transgressions, when the transgressions are complete now, we will see even the work of God. This is the work, because what they did was they burned the king of Edom into lime, and we don't have this story written in the book other than here to let us know. And Edom is those that are show blood in the flesh, and their king they've caused him to be burned now until his bones have become lime, or become what they would mixed with water to make a bleach substance, or white, to whiten things. And that's what it refers to. 2. So will I send a fire upon Moab, and it shall devour the palaces of Kirioth, and Moab shall die with tumult, and with shouting, and with the sound of horn. And Kirioth means cities, kind of in a plural sense, even the place of buildings, the place of building. And Moab will die with this tumult. And the tumult means there's going to be confusion and trouble. And with this shouting, this is because there is distress. This shouting is great distress. And the sound of the horn is warning. And out of the sound of the horn, and out of the sound of the warning, will call this great tumult, and this great confusion, and this great shouting, even of sorrow. 3, And I will cut off the judge from the midst thereof, and will slay all the princes thereof with him, saith the Lord. So God, his judgment says he is going to cut off the head of Moab. These are like their father. And simply this, and what he's saying is, and we're going to find that this is what he did. He takes out the power, the upper echelon, those with understanding, those with authority, that know how to govern the people. And then now the people are left to struggle now, and this is that confusion and this strife of the end time. For thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Judah, yes, for 4, I will not reverse it, because they have rejected the law of the Lord, and have not kept his statutes, and their lies have caused them to err, after which their fathers did walk. And we know the fact that they did impute things unto God that was not correct. See, and we find this slow transgression over a long period of generations has caused great error, in that they don't keep the law of God, but they'll do everything a man says, but they will not do what God says. See, and we'll find that is the whole problem in all the earth. No one obeys the law of God, and when we do not keep the commandments of God, we fall into punishment, even sin. It's an automatic thing, and even as the lion does tear when he is hungry now. 5. So will I send a fire upon Judah, and it shall devour the palaces of Jerusalem, these great places which they have made in this great city of peace, where God said he would put his name. Well, they'll know God was there, because God said, I will make this place desolate now. And when you see what God's done, then you'll know, see, that there is a God. God's going to cause this. God done this. He raises it up, then that way you can see now, but somewhere along the line, they always get the big head. I call it the big head. Their head gets bloated up with this air, this hot air, and they start making up things. They start talking about this and that, which is not the truth, imputing it unto the Lord, when he told you not to do this thing. Until finally he has to pop it. 6. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Israel, yes, for 4, I will not reverse it, because they sell the righteous for silver, and the needy for a pair of shoes. And this house of Israel, well, it's really inclusive of all of them. All, and we're going to find out, all of them that come up out of Egypt, all these that have known the law of God, that he put it in your heart and give you the understanding to know, but you still disobey the law of God. Now, when your transgressions have reached the full now, and they are, yes, for 4 now, the work of God, he's going to show it, because we will be able to see this in all the earth, and we do. God will not reverse this judgment that he sent, because they sell the righteous for silver and the needy for a pair of shoes. And what's this? This is where they distort justice. They distort judgment. In the fact that the righteous, those that think they're doing good, those that they don't know no better. See, they've been raised in this. They've been raised up in it. And they're sold this great wealth and this stuff that's offered now. You can't buy and sell the Word of God. There's no profit in that. And the needy, they are perverted, see, through this understanding. Their path is perverted. Why? Because there's no correct understanding. They think it's all about the silver and the gold, and the wealth, and the want. 7. They pant after the dust of the earth on the head of the poor, and turn aside the way of the humble. And a man and his father go into the same maid to profane my holy name. And this pant after the dust, and what that is they desire these sins, this dust that's on the of the earth that's on the head of the poor, and this is the sin. This is the poor we're talking about. These that are poor in spirit, poor in understanding. See, to be lack of money is not poverty, see, but to be poor in the understanding of the law of God is what has brought you there, into that kind of poverty, see, to the poverty of squalor and struggle. You cry to the Lord, but in the wrong, you're wrong, and it's your understanding, see. Crying to the Almighty God, which give you the law that can deliver you from where you're at, see. Obey the law, be obedient. God will bless you greatly. 8. And they lay themselves down beside every altar upon the clothes taken in pledge, and in the house of their God they drank the wine of them that have been fined. And these that have been judged, see, they've been fined. They've already come in front of the judge, and they've been fined, and they've been made to pay this penalty. And of course here we're using wine as a representative of the fine. And these that are in the house of God, and they drank in this wine. They're making themselves drunk off the fines of men. See, and what this is they've perverted the judgment to the point that they're going to get whatever they want from the judgment. See, these pledges they've taken in, these pledges represent the debts. There's debt involved in these things that they are making their bed. There are people that go out and go into debt now to pay these so-called required payments now that can be exacted upon the people. That was not the way in the beginning. See, that was not the way. And they lay down beside every altar, and any place that there is a place to lay down or make an altar, that's where you'll find them. See, and they'll go anywhere that they can make a quarter, or make a dime, and anywhere that they can find the sins of the people, that they can prey upon them and use them now to gather this wealth. There's no wealth in this. This is the distortion of understanding. This is the distortion of truth. 9. Yet destroyed I the Amorite before them, whose height was like the height of the cedars, and he was strong as the oaks. Yet I destroyed his fruit from above, and his roots from beneath. And this was we remember the 2 Amorites kings, and even the others that were beyond the Jordan, when the children first come up into the kingdom. Og, and he was the king of Bashan, and they were thrown down by God, even the 2 that Moses conquered before they come into the land. And they took this great fertile valley that was even big enough for 2.5 tribes. These Amorites, they are the enchanters, these soothsayers, these ones through their words can lure you in and cause you to slip on into the, and especially now, when this thing's been established for generations and generations, it ain't nothing to deceive. It's nothing. You're already born into deception. God's done this. See, God, these are punishments of God because they've turned from the law of God. See, when we don't obey the law of God, society reflects it. 10. Also I brought you up out of the land of Egypt and led you 40 years in the wilderness to possess the land of the Amorites. And this is what God did, see. Israel have lost their heritage. See, Israel scattered out in all of the earth, just like God said he was going to do to you. That's where we'll find you today. See, and Israel represents the whole thing, all of Israel. These that God called Israel. And they know God brought them up out of the land of enclosures. God done delivered you once from this place. Now we find there you are again. There in the land of enclosures, there in the land of the prison house. You've been locked up. See, for a time of probation. 11. And I raised up your sons for prophets, and your young men for Nazarites. Is it not even thus, O you children of Israel, saith the Lord? And God did. He raised up prophets. He gave them the word of the God. These prophets always come in with warning. Why? Because you're in error. You're in error. So God always sends somebody to warn you that you are in error. He gave you these Nazarites. What is a Nazarite? Nazarite is one that has been set aside. Let's just say he's devoted, or a devoted one who has become a devoted thing unto God. 12. But you gave the Nazarites wine to drink, and commanded the prophets, saying, prophesy not. And we'll find now when the prophets, we get on into the prophets, see, that's exactly what they're telling the prophets. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that. Tell us the good things. Tell us the smooth things. Give me something sweet. Give me a little something to lay my head on, something soft. See, don't make it hard on me. Don't make my way straight. Don't teach me what's right. Teach me what's wrong. See, that's what they say constantly. Constantly begging, constantly wanting the evil, constantly wanting judgment from God. Don't ask for judgment, ask for blessing. Do what's right. 13. Behold, I will make it creak under you, as a cart creaketh that is full of sheaves. And we can only hear the cart that God's talking about. It would deafen your ears now. And what this means is these sheaves, or this wheat harvest that's gathered in, and with each stroke of the sickle, with each stroke of the sickle now, as we come into the wheat stalks fall to the ground, and they are gathered into bundles, and these bundles are called sheaves. And we're going to find now, just like a cart that's stacked up full of these, it does creak now. And this harvest that we're talking about here in this creek is because the wagon is wearing out, and it creaketh under the strain of the load. It can't handle it. Why? Because God has... It's like being able to hear the sound of the wagon go by. We don't have to see the wagon. We can hear it, and we say, oh, there goes the wagon of sheaves, or the cart of sheaves. And even now, we look and see sin into the earth, and we say, oh, there is the judgment of God. That must be God going through. 14. And flight shall fail the swift, the strong shall not exert his strength, neither shall the mighty deliver himself. Yeah, there's no sense to fight against it. See, God's done this. There's nothing you can do. You're helpless before the Lord your God. You've turned from the Lord your God, and he bid you turn. Now there is punishment already in the earth. You need turn. 15. Neither shall he stand that handleth the bow, and he that is swift of foot shall not deliver himself, neither shall he that rideth the horse deliver himself. So these that handle the bow, these that have this ability to shoot these darts of truth, they think they'll be mighty in the end. These that are swift of foot, that carry the message from one place to another, you think you're swift, you think you're swift going before men. And him that rideth the horse, that shows his great strength, that sits upon the high seat, who thinks he's some kind of chief, you'll not deliver yourself either. See, because in a moment, God's going to take away all your understanding, all your knowledge. You're going to be brought to naught. And then we'll know how the mighty have fallen. 16. And he that is courageous among the mighty shall flee away naked in that day, saith the Lord. Naked, because you're going to be stripped bare, made naked. See, you're going to be stripped down and made naked before the Lord. He's going to, just like Adam was stripped naked and known his nakedness, so shall you know your nakedness. And that's what God's talking about here, these that are courageous. So that you think you want to run up there and fight, well, you wasn't as ready as you think you are. And you're going to be slain by the law of God. And that's what we've been talking about this whole time, the fire that's come down from God now, see. And it's come to devour the palaces and all these high places, these men of strength, these ones that have perverted justice and perverted the truth. See, in the end, the law of God's going to devour you. Thou shalt have no other God before me. Thou shalt not make to yourself an image. You shall not use the Lord your God's name in vain. See? You shall honor your mother and your father, that your days would have been long upon the earth. You shall not commit adultery. We could go on and on and on, but there's no end of your sin. See, and God sees it. It's before him constantly. And we'll see now God is exacting punishment now as an example on Israel. And in the end of all days, in the end of time, God is going to show himself. He's going to exact punishment now on all the earth for their sin, showing himself mighty now. And those that know and understand and believe shall be delivered. And these will be the floods of Noah then. And they won't come against you. See, because you'll have been obedient to the law of God, keeping the law of God, and God may have mercy on you. All right, we're going to move on to chapter 3.